Okay, so this is on scientific notation. It is not in the book, so we're just going to go with notes. First, on scientific notation, you will basically take a decimal number and go to a number in scientific notation. And in scientific notation, it's always written a times 10 to some power. And that's where the a is less than or equal to 10 and greater than or equal to 1. And the n is an element of, that symbol's the Greek letter epsilon. You read it as an element of the set of integers. Remember, the integers are the set like 0, 1, 2, 3, dot, 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 negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, dot, dot, dot. So your integers have to come, your exponents have to come from that set, your n values. Okay. Before we go through the scientific notation, you ought to at least look at the pattern for powers of 10. The other day we said anything to the 0 power is 1. Okay. And if we go in the positive, 10 to the first power would be 10, 10 to the second power would be 100, 10 to the third power would be 1,000, and so on. So you could continue that pattern going up. Okay, then if you go with the negative exponents, 10 to the negative 1 would be, it's actually 1 over 10 to the first. Remember, if it's a negative exponent, you put it down in the denominator, make it positive. Yeah, and then let's finish this one. The 1/10 would be the same as 0.1, right? And then 10 to the negative 2 would be 1 over, like you said, 1 over 10 to the second, and that would be 1 over 100, which would be like 0.01. So 10 to the negative 2 is the same as 100th. Okay, 10 to the negative 3 would be 1 over 10 to the third, which would be 10 times 10 times 10 would be 1,000, which would be like 0.001. And then that pattern continues. You can go in the positive direction or the negative direction. So we're going to be working with powers of 10. You should be able to convert from decimal numbers to scientific numbers back and forth, and then you should be able to do operations. Okay, so first we're going to look at changing from decimal to scientific. Okay. Okay. So they will say in the directions, write in scientific notation. Okay, write in scientific notation. If they give you a number like 5,237, okay, you got to know where the decimal is to start. The decimal is right here. Okay, you need the number on the left side has to be between 1 and 10. So you move the decimal point 1, 2, 3 places. I always draw a little bracket. So there's one number on the left side. So it'd be 5.237 times 10 to the third. And if it's basically 5 times 1,000, and 1,000 is 10 to the third. Okay? Everybody okay with that one? Okay, so if you add 0.0063, that's what they're going to call a decimal number, and you need to move the decimal point. So there's one number on the left side. So I always draw, so there's a little bracket there. So it'd be 6.3 times 10 to, how far? -3. Okay? I always say if it's a number larger than 1, it's going to be a positive exponent, positive power of a 10. If it's a decimal, okay, it's going to be a negative power. Let's say I have 9,567,800. Okay, and right now the decimal is here. Move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's one number on the left. Okay, times 10 to the 6th. So if it's a number bigger than 1, it's going to have a positive exponent. Okay, am I right? You've kind of done these in chemistry. Okay. Okay, and then if you had like, let's say you had 87.23. Okay, then you only move that decimal one place to the left, so that you have one number on the left side. So 8.723 times 10 to the first. Okay. Okay. Now let's stop for a minute on the. I'm going to show you on the calculator, and there are some restrictions, and I don't have all these memorized on your calculator. But take your calculator. Okay. And there are. First, look at your mode on your calculator. Up at the top, it says normal mode, scientific mode, engineering mode. Scientific mode is what we're going to work on, but I looked up what is engineering mode, and I don't know when they use it because I'm not an engineer. But the engineering mode puts 3 numbers on the left side of the decimal, and the power of 10 is always a multiple of 3. So it's going to be like 10 to the 3rd, 10 to the 6th, 10 to the 9th, the multiple. I have no idea when they use it. Somebody would have to look that up. Good topic for a research paper. Okay. Okay. So for right now, we're going to go into scientific mode. Okay. Now, if you just put it in, does it change it? Let's go back to the ones that we just did, because I have not done much on scientific notation either. So let's try. If you just put in 5, 2, 3, 7 and go enter in scientific mode. Okay, it changes it for you. Okay, okay, okay. And if you did, let's try 0.0063. Now the E, maybe we should explain that too. If you go into the scientific, we probably should say that that we went into the mode. Scientific mode, and then when we put in the 5, 2, 3, 7 and press enter, it goes to 5.237. The E on the calculator is actually times 10. Okay, that's the symbol, the exponential notation, and then it'll give you, so it's written like that. Okay, and then this one is written, put an equal sign there, 6.3 E to the negative 3. So it just does not write it as a power of 10. You should be able to do it by hand, like we just did going through the notes, and you should be able to do it on the calculator. Okay, now let's try the longer one. Try the 9567800, and then just press enter. Okay. Okay, and it did take off the last 2 zeros, didn't it? Yeah. Okay. So it's going to write it as 9.5678, and then E to the 6th. When you're writing it on your paper, I would think I would prefer this on your paper. Okay, this method on your paper. The other method is what's going to show up on the calculator. The E is going to show up on the calculator. Okay. What I want to do is take a number that's longer. Does it ever just get rid of? I'm in floating decimals. Does it ever just get rid of some of the numbers? Okay, so let's go longer. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's take that long. Take a long number. Okay, and then just press enter.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so how many digits did it round it to? It got it to. No, it took off several of them, didn't it?
It took off 2 and 3. Took 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5.
Okay. So if you're using the calculator, basically I'm saying you have to know there are restrictions on the calculator. Okay, and if you wrote that answer down, you'd get the wrong answer because it rounded it. Okay, so there's some restrictions. Okay. Okay. If you want to go the other way and put a number in on scientific notation, go back. Let's go back to just normal mode. You have to press enter. You go to the mode key. Go to the mode key and press enter on normal. Okay, now to put a number in, let's go the other way. If I want to put in, let's say I just want to enter a number like 6.54 times 10 to the third. If I want to put that in scientific notation on the calculator without going into that mode, type in 6.54 and then right above the comma, it's above the comma key where it says EE. You find that? And it's above the comma key by itself. Okay, so you have to do second function and then put in the 3. Okay. Now notice on that method it goes from scientific to decimal. Okay. So it would take us from this form to decimal form. Okay. So I went to normal mode first. Okay, and then right above that comma. So let's do another one. Let's say I did let's do a negative 3.278 times 10 to the negative 5. Okay, so put in the negative. Make sure you use the negative sign, not the minus sign. Negative 3.278, and then you need to go second function, the EE, and I'll just list one E when you write it down, and then negative 5. Okay. So it looks like this on the calculator, negative 3.278 E, and then negative 5, and press enter. It didn't change it. Okay, so that's another restriction then. I don't know, why is that? Let's try negative 3.2 E. Is it just the negative exponents? Try negative 5, just like that. Nope. Is it just positive exponents that it works? Or if you go, let's do negative 3.2 E. Let's change it to 5 instead of. Okay, if it's the negative exponent it's not doing. Will it do it if you're in scientific notation? I don't think so. I think it'll stay in scientific notation. So there are some restrictions, so you have to be able to do some of this by hand. Okay, last part. You need to be able to convert from decimal to scientific, scientific back to decimal. Okay, and then the last part is you have to be able to do some operations. And we're going to basically do them on the calculator. So let's calculate it, and on this we're going to change. I'll put it up above here. Let's say calculate to the nearest 10th. Now that's the number on the left side, not the power of 10. Calculate to the nearest 10th. Okay, so let's say I have 85 times 0.0009 all over 1.4 times 2,300. Now look at the parentheses up here. Okay, you need to put another set of parentheses here because you need that whole thing divided by this whole thing. And we're going to change it to scientific notation. Let's do it by hand first. Okay, this would be parentheses, parentheses. 85 would be, change this, move this over.
8.5.
Yep, 8.5 times 10 to the first. Okay, change this one. 2, 3, 4. 9 times 10 to the negative 4. Close the parentheses, close the parentheses. The 1.4 is already scientific, right? 1.4, that would actually be times 10 to the 0, or just 1.4. Move this decimal over 1, 2, 3. 2.3 times 10 to the third. Close the parentheses, close the parentheses. Okay, so now let's put that into the calculator. Okay, I'm going to go back to scientific mode. Okay, so go to scientific mode. Press enter for that to register. Okay, then you need parentheses, parentheses. And we're going to put in 8.5 and then the e to the first. Okay, close the parentheses. And then parentheses. Will it understand that without a time sign?
It should.
Should. We'll see. 9. And then second function, e to the negative 4. Close the parentheses, close the parentheses.
That might not work. Negative exponent.
What's that?
Negative exponent. Might not work.
Ooh, we'll see. But I'm in scientific mode now. We'll see. 8.5, and then e to the first. And then I have 9 e to the negative 4. Okay, now let's put in the bottom. Divided by parentheses, parentheses. 1.4, and then the e to the 0. Close the parentheses. And then parentheses 2.3, then e to the third. Close the parentheses, close the parentheses. Yep, it worked. Okay. Okay. I get 2 now. I need to finish writing this. 1.4 e to the 0. And then we did, so it did understand it without the time sign. And then this was 2.3 and then e to the third. Close the parentheses. Final answer. No, this is not the final answer. They give you this long. I'm not going to write it all out. And then e to the negative 5. Now, if they said to the nearest tenth, they're looking at this. To the nearest tenth, 2.3 e to the negative 5 is our final answer. Oh, 2.4, sorry. Sorry. I just went to the... Sorry, that's my fault. 2.4 e to the negative 5. Okay? Okay, let's... Yeah, you could, go back and write it. They probably will write it like this. Yeah, thank you. Times 10 to the negative 5 for the paper. Yeah, the author's probably going to take it back to that form. Okay? Let's do one more example and then I'll let you go. This is number 8. Number 8. Let's say you had 3.8 times 10 to the negative 4 times 2.8 times 10 to the 6th. Okay, so let's put it in on the calculator. It's going to go 3.8 e to the negative 4 times 2.8 e to the 6th. Right? So I would have parentheses 3.8, second function above the comma, the EE, negative 4, close the parentheses, parentheses 2.8 e, whoops, wrong one, e to the 6th, okay, I get 1.064 e to the 3rd. Now if they want it rounded, what's it going to round to? 1.1 e to the 3rd, and then they're going to write it 1.1 times 10 to the 3rd, right? Okay, enough examples?
Yeah.
Okay, so sometimes you have to make sure you're in the right scientific mode. You ought to be able to do decimal to scientific, scientific to decimal by hand, and you ought to be able to do it on the calculator. Okay? Okay. Okay.